Women in Business. We are here today to teach you about real estate and get the show on the road for you so you can make some money. Today we're here with Lisa Ashkins. Lisa is my realtor. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Sure.
So we were chatting a bit before the video started, and we're talking about today, the question I have on my mind is, why is it so important to put some thought into choosing a realtor? Because there are thousands of realtors out there, right?
Absolutely.
We know a bunch, and we've shopped around, and through the years met different sorts of realtors.
Right.
And you probably know a few too. Your brother-in-law, your cousin,
uncle.
sister, nephew.
That's right, your best friend.
Yeah. So the question that pops up to me through all of this was like, what was my process? How did I think about finding a realtor? At the start, I didn't really put much thought into it.
Right.
But now, Lisa helped me buy the property I have now, a triplex, and she made the process so wonderful.
And helped you sell
easy.
a property.
And sell a property,
Let's
too.
not forget.
So you know her from the buying and selling side.
From both sides.
Right.
So that's the question we want to bring an answer to viewers out there is, what do you think of or contemplate when you're choosing a realtor? What do you think from your experience people should think of?
Thanks, Barbara. I think it is a really important question. And sadly, a lot of people choose a realtor as if they're choosing a loaf of bread at the store because it just appears in front of them.
Right.
And
Voila.
one is probably just about as good as the other. But the truth is that real estate transactions are some of the riskiest transactions you can engage in your life, and certainly from a fiscal perspective involve a lot of money.
Yeah.
Lot of money.
Yeah.
And so why would you choose the person to take you on that journey like you would be choosing a loaf of bread?
Right.
Now I think we met through a referral.
We did.
Yeah.
Actually, I met Lisa through synchronicity. I was at a women's group. I didn't know a soul, and I stood up in the group and I said, I want to find a triplex with these certain qualifications in the next 8 weeks. And Lisa magically was sent my way.
I think you said that to someone, they knew me.
They knew
and
you.
that's how we connected.
That's why it's good to put those things out in the
That's
universe.
right. You have to put them out there, and they will come to you. So, if you're not going to use your cousin as the realtor or the neighbor, which I actually get those people that come to me later and say, whoops, that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Will you help me?
Yeah.
Because they're only doing it part-time, and
Yeah.
this is like their hobby.
And what happens in those scenarios? Give us some hypothetical examples with no names.
Well, generally the person either isn't very knowledgeable or well-versed because they don't do it full-time, and or they're not available to the person. And if there's a close relationship or a family relationship, oftentimes it skews the agent's ability to really help them as a client because they've got a history together.
There's an emotional
connection, and sometimes there are communication blocks.
Right.
And so oftentimes I think people that go that route find that it really wasn't the smart thing to do, and they end up having to do the uncomfortable thing of severing that professional relationship, and then they come to an agent like me.
So, I totally agree with you. My sister's a realtor. I have several cousins that are realtors, and I've used one for a long time that I've known for a long time rather than choosing some of my family members. I love them dearly. They're probably very good.
Right.
But for me, it's just easier to keep business separate.
Right.
So give us a few tips then on how to choose a good realtor. What should people be looking for? And here in San Diego, I interviewed 3 different realtors before choosing one, and I think people, especially women, are scared to do that and scared to say, hey, you're not my person.
Yes.
So give us some tips on then how to choose a great realtor.
Yes. Well, I'll start by saying most of my business comes to me by referral.
Right.
And so I think that for most people, when they want to embark on this process and they start talking to other people, they'll often have people say, oh, I'd like you to talk to my realtor. They were really good.
Right.
I think you would like them. So I think that is a good place to start. When you're putting out there what you want to do, you will find that people will kind of gather around and tell you they've got their favorite realtor, which hopefully isn't their cousin. Sorry, cousins, that they would like you to work with or to at least talk to. And sometimes if you trust that person, then it's likely you're going to trust their referral as well. Or if you feel like you know, you connect with that person that's giving you the referral, likelihood is you're going to connect with that person they're referring you to as well.
Right.
Fair tip.
So I think that's a good place to start. Talk to people that you know and trust and see who they have in their life that's a realtor that they would like to introduce you to. And that is how most of my business comes to me, by
So
referral.
basically, find somebody you resonate with, ask them who they used.
Right.
And anybody that's a familial relationship, like a cousin, that's more of an emotional based transaction. So it's
Right.
better to stay with somebody who's solely in a professional mode, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, and I think, you know, sometimes just having the discussion with, we keep saying the cousin, but, you know, whoever
Yeah.
it is, just having an open discussion with them, you know, that you would rather keep those things separate
Right.
and be upfront with them about it
Right.
is important. Because certainly be a little uncomfortable to have them find out, you know,
Right.
you're doing some, you know, working with another agent and never consulted with them.
Right.
Sure.
So you kind of want to be upfront
So
about
be
that.
upfront, yeah.
Beyond the referral piece, I think it is important to talk to several agents because we're not all created equally. We don't all approach the business in the same way. We're not all as knowledgeable. We're not all as experienced.
So Lisa, what I'm hearing you say is that basically look for somebody through a person you trust, a friend that's had a good experience with their realtor, and you resonate with them personality-wise, that you interview more than one person,
Right.
and also that you are saying it's best to keep the relationship professional. If you can do that with a cousin or a relative, you can, but you need to be aware and be careful that it's better to keep professional.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, that's a
would you
good
say that's
that's a
in
good recap.
a nutshell?
That's the nutshell.
And so that leads me to my other question, which is once you're starting to think about buying and selling, if you have a place you want to sell and move up, or if you haven't bought a place yet but you're starting to look around, what are some ways you can prepare to do that, to get into that process?
It's another really important question, Barbara. And again, you know, this is financially usually a big, huge decision for people to make, whether they're buying or selling.
Right.
Emotionally, it's a big, huge decision to make. So, like anything important in your life, you want to, in order to be successful, it's best to prepare and
Right.
build a foundation. And I think a lot of people forget that. And so in the buying part, they want to just run out and start looking at properties, forgetting that, you know, like a house being built, there's a foundation before
Right.
the walls and the
Okay.
windows go in.
Yeah.
So with the process, we need to start with the foundation. And really, that's financial. And that's the part I think that scares a lot of people, is taking a look at the finances of a purchase.
So you're talking about what's your budget for a mortgage to start off step one?
I would think being honest with yourself,
Being honest with yourself.
knowing your credit, knowing how much
your
money you have
credit,
saved, all those
exactly,
things.
knowing what your debt ratio is. You know, how does what you owe match up to what you earn?
Yeah.
And how is a lender going to look at that?
Right.
And that's the piece I think that's really scary. And a lot of people hear, they get misinformation about the lending world. So they either think the money's handed out to everybody and anybody, or they think nobody's getting money. And the truth is, it's somewhere
In between.
in between.
Right.
So until you take that important step of laying the finances out there with, again, another trusted financial advisor, mortgage person.
Right.
And a lot of times your realtor can give you some insight
Yes.
to those people as well.
Absolutely. And so I have people, lenders that I trust in. It's never just one person. I always refer several that I know take good care of my clients, are ethical, you know, communicate well, similar traits of an agent.
Right.
But it's important that you take that first step and really look at those finances through the lens of a lender and see what will be possible. Now, if you're one of those lucky ones that have cash, then, and they are out there, then there's still a conversation about, is it going to be cash, and do you have the proof of funds?
Right.
Because the seller of the property is going to want to see those proof of funds in the form
Sure.
of statements.
Now let me ask you a question, parlaying a little bit on the finances there. that's a scary thing for people to get honest with themselves about their finances.
Right.
And for some people, like my parents, they're very secure and safe about who they share their financial information with. And
Right.
so talk about the lending process a little bit, because there's a difference between getting totally qualified and a pre-qual, correct? And how much information you give to someone to go about that.
Sure. Basically, a pre-qualification is weaker than a pre-approval. So a pre-qual, as we call it, is only basically taking information that you're verbal information that you're giving. Oh,
Right.
I make this much. I have a car payment of this much. I think my credit score is this.
Right.
Right.
It's very weak, and so
But they're not pulling your credit at that
they're
point.
not
There's
pulling
no
your credit at
dealings.
that point.
Yeah.
It's just tell me, give me some information. Okay, based on that kind
There's a
of
budget.
And that's a
skeleton
pre-qual.
information. Here's a
Yeah.
here's what it appears we could qualify you for. A pre-approval, they do need to pull your credit, and they are going to ask for more information and statements
Sure.
and see what your assets are. So when you're the seller, you want to see a pre-approval letter on this buyer, not
Right.
a pre-qualification
Sure.
letter.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Understood.
Pre-approval is what you need.
Right.
Yes.
Any
Once
other
you're ready,
questions?
once you're
Right.
at that place.
Right,
Right.
right. And I think the important thing also is you may not be ready right at that moment in time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's a nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Exactly.
So until you make that commitment to look at your resources with a trusted mortgage person, you don't know what you can do and when you can do it. And oftentimes you run into people who now's not quite the right time. Maybe they need to improve their credit score, or they need to pay off that car or some other debts.
Right.
But we like to work with people to put a plan in place. So even if this moment is not the right moment, perhaps it's just a few months from now or a
Right.
year from now, we'll create a plan so that it's doable.
I
Excellent.
love that, a plan. That's why I love working with Lisa. She's the best realtor. Having a plan instead of looking at the person and saying, you're not pre-qualified at this moment. Some
No.
people may kick you to the curb, to be honest.
Yeah.
But having a
No.
plan that in 6
No.
months
Here's how to
you're
get
going to
there.
do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we run into those people, and we actually have, there are credit options to cure credit,
Yes.
that we can refer people to. But again, if you don't know where you stand, how can you get where you want to go?
Sure.
Right.
So we've got to kind of take the blinders off and
Step
take a look at it.
1, yes. Great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a
I
good
think
wrap.
I think that's great.
Today we've given you a lot of information in little digestible bits. So basically, as Lisa said, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Take the first step, take our advice, our information, make one small action step with it. Look at your credit, talk to a lender. That will get the ball rolling. Talk with your friend, ask them who your favorite real estate agent is.
Absolutely.
2 steps you could do today to get the ball rolling. So take care, women in business. We'll see you next time.
And let's say thank you to Lisa
Oh,
Ashkins from
yes.
Ascent for being here with us